So let's say, you're in the neighborhood, you're taking a walk in the morning and you roll up on a bear. What do, right? The most important thing to do is to not panic. In most cases, this animal is just as startled as you are. And if anything, is more afraid of you than you are of it. Good news, none of our species in California are predatory species. We are not on the menu for any of them. So they are just kind of wanting to get out of that area. Best thing to do, wonderful things, is to avoid cornering the animal. You never want you to be the escape route for the animal. You want to back away slowly, speak in a low voice, arms kind of gently out to your sides. Hey, bear. Whoa, bear. And realistically, it doesn't matter what you're saying to the animal, right? It's just kind of letting the animal know, hey, I see you. I'm speaking and vocalizing so that you know I'm here, that I'm not trying to startle you, that I'm not trying to be a threat. Make sure in these cases we're not turning our backs from the animal or running, because this can incite a chase instinct. Just give the animal room to escape, give it respect, and don't approach it. And these animals almost every time are going to kind of move on down the trail, move on by, cross the trail. They don't want to interact with us. However, if the fear of you, for whatever reason, kind of overrides that and the curiosity gets the best of the animal in that unlikely scenario, if the animal approaches you, stand your ground, make yourself look big, throw your arms up and yell. And I'm not talking like a little, go away, bear. Like, get loud. You want to tell this bear that it is not worth it to tangle with you, that you are not worth the fight, that you're big and bad and you're bigger and badder than they are. And usually the animals will they'll think about it for a second and then generally scare off. If in the extremely unlikely event that you are attacked, fight back and don't play dead. Again, it's the same principle. It's saying, hey, I know you decided to start this fight, but I'm going to finish it, right? So again, fight back, get loud, yell, and don't play dead. And again, I recognize that it might sound like a paltry line to give into just folks and, oh yeah, pat, pat, pat. They're more afraid of you than you are of them. But it's genuinely true, right? We're sitting here and we're having this conversation together about how to, react to a wildlife encounter, what's motivating these animals, what different behaviors from these animals mean. Bears don't have that. We're this weird, hairless, two-legged thing walking around, and they're not really sure what to do with us. So oftentimes, again, they genuinely are more afraid of us than we are of them. In cases like we talked about getting loud that can work to scare off an animal, this is something we do often in a technique called hazing. And we say that scaring is caring. So hazing is a technique where we administer deterrence to a bear to modify that bear's behavior immediately, right? So bear gives us behavior X, Y, Z. We administer ABC. Bear doesn't like ABC, so it doesn't do X, Y, Z again. These techniques include, pyrotechnics, noisemakers, paintballs, non-lethal projectiles, dogs chasing them, scent deterrents, things like that. But we can also administer those deterrents at home in our homes. Deterrents are just devices or other methods that kind of keep animals away from certain objects, areas, people, plants, other animals, that sort of thing, areas that we don't want these animals. These are sensory items that discourage wildlife, including bears, through sight, sound, smell, touch, or kind of any combination of the above. So I'm just going to quickly run through some of these that we often recommend to folks. One is a bowl of ammonia kept on your trash can. So as you're looking for ways to secure your trash can and secure your trash, one of the best things you can do is just take a Tupperware or a small bowl of ammonia, have a sponge in it, refill that bowl a couple times a day with ammonia because it evaporates pretty quickly. But if you think of how bad that smells to us as people, with bear noses being 100 times better than ours, think about how much worse that smells to a bear. Air horns are another great thing. We talk about those a lot. You can buy the small ones even to keep in your pocket as you're going on a walk. You can toot it at the bear when it's getting into your trash or your pool, or again, exhibiting that undesirable behavior. Or it can just be used, if you're nervous about coming out and startling a bear in the morning, if you know that a bear, tries to get into your trash every Tuesday on trash night or what have you. You can just toot that air horn as you're leaving the house, and it just lets the bear know, they probably associate with that people at this point. Oh, I need to be aware something's coming around, something's going on. I need to be aware of my surroundings a little bit more. Motion activated lights, sounds, or sprinklers are also a great technique to employ to kind of keep bears out of areas that you don't want them. If you're looking to get motion activated lights, we just recommend that you get potentially The flashing lights. Most of us in our homes nowadays have motion activated lights, floodlights, or just on our porch or what have you. So this is can become kind of a little mundane to wildlife, but those flashing lights, especially for bears whose vision is comparable to ours, we put out strobe lights on Halloween because it makes everything spooky and, scary, and it's a little weird. So if we're putting those out, it can distort their vision enough and be startling enough to not be something they're so used to. Electric fences are another great tool. We often recommend those for beehives or gardens. They're great with bears. And the other thing I want to talk about, folks can play barking dog calls on loop, though, in a neighborhood, your neighbors might not like that so much. So the another thing you can do is take a handheld radio and just place it and have it play music or, a talk show, what have you, in areas that you don't want it. Maybe it's near a chicken coop or something like that. And what that does is that sounds human to the bears, right? They don't know that it's a radio song or a talk show or what have you. They just know that, hey, that sounds like a person and I don't really want to be around people. So that's another great deterrent that we can employ. The thing about deterrence is that no deterrent is 100% effective 100% of the time. It's all about using different methods in combination with each other consistently and over time, and really finding what works for your individual bear. So just like people, every bear shows a different level of habituation to different deterrents. Maybe one bear hates sprinklers and having a hose turned on it, and another bear might love it. So it's all about working together within your household and finding what works for your bear, but also working with your community, right? Talk to your neighbors. Like we said, bears don't recognize property lines. So it's all about working together to employ these deterrents and administer these deterrents to teach a bear that getting into trash is unacceptable, getting into my pool is unacceptable, and that sort of thing. Google is a great place. The internet is a great place to find things, but not all deterrents are effective for every wildlife species. So that's important to note. And it's also important to check for local city and county ordinances, to consider those before using a deterrent, just to make sure you're within city ordinance and code. So we're gonna power through these really quick. These are some of the most common sources of conflict with bears that we see. So if you have bird feeders, we recommend that you remove them or use them in winter only when bears are experiencing that seasonal torpor. If you have pet food and water, you feed your pets outside, we just recommend that you store and provide those inside so that bears don't have access to it. If you have livestock like chickens, making sure we're providing a fully enclosed shelter structure, especially with chickens, that the wire is buried so that we're preventing access to those. If we have fruit trees, many of us do, remove remove fallen fruit and harvest the fruit regularly. Gardens, like we said, electric fencing is a great technique to use. For our barbecues, it's great that we can grill outside all year round in Southern California. Make sure we're cleaning those regularly and keeping our food inside, not having those outdoor refrigerators. Composting is also something wonderful, but if you're finding that it's drawing bears in, or you're seeing some more bear activity as you're starting to do so, potentially look into community composting. Maybe having a bigger area that you're able to secure with electric fencing might work. Beehives, again, I know I've said it before, but electric fencing can be a really helpful tool. Just around the home, making sure we're employing those deterrents and hazing techniques as applicable, and also making sure we're securing our doors and windows so that, when we're not home or when we're not necessarily in the room or the area, we're not allowing wildlife into our home. As far as trash goes, make sure we're using bear-resistant trash cans and we're cleaning our trash cans regularly, or storing our trash at the very least in some sort of, four-walled and roof structure that the bears can't get access to. So wildlife belongs to each of us, and it's up to us all to take simple steps to prevent conflict. We should manage the habitat around our home, make sure we're protecting ourselves, our pets, and our livestock, securing our livestock, making sure our small pets aren't outside alone, things like that. Using deterrents and hazing the bears when appropriate, and also using that in combination with removing or preventing access to attractants. So our goal as a CDFW is to manage wildlife, but it's every one of our responsibilities to help prevent conflict. Our goal is really to help the public and to advise the public to take proactive steps and proactive approaches whenever possible so that we can prevent conflict before it even happens.